First strike. The Kilari warships emerged from hyperspace like obsidian arrows piercing the void, their crystalline hulls absorbing nearly all light that touched them. 300 vessels strong, the fleet positioned itself in a perfect crescent formation above humanity's outermost colony on Europa Prime. Admiral Vextrol stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Night, his silver eyes reflecting the pale blue orb of the human world below. Pathetic, he whispered, mandibles clicking in contempt. Their orbital defenses consist of nothing more than primitive kinetic weapons and electromagnetic shields. His subordinates chittered in agreement, their crystalline exoskeletons catching the light of distant stars. The humans had colonized this world barely 30 years ago, transforming it from an ice ball into a thriving settlement of 5 million souls. To the Kilari Empire, which had ruled the galaxy's outer rim for 10,000 years, such rapid expansion was both impressive and troubling. Humanity had proven themselves remarkably adaptable, spreading across 12 worlds in less than a century since achieving faster-than-light travel. "Send the standard ultimatum," Vextrol commanded. "Let us see if they possess the wisdom to surrender." The response came almost immediately. A holographic projection materialized on the bridge, showing a human female with dark skin and close-cropped silver hair. Her uniform bore the insignia of the United Earth Defense Force, though her rank markers were unfamiliar to the Kilari database. "This is Governor General Maya Chen of Europa Prime," she announced, her voice steady despite the overwhelming odds faced by her colony. "We've received your demands, Admiral Vextrol. The answer is no." Vextrol's secondary hearts skipped a beat at her use of his name. Their intelligence suggested humans lacked sophisticated scanning technology, yet she had identified him immediately. Still, it changed nothing. "You face the might of the Kilari Empire, Governor General. Your defenses are negligible, your fleet non-existent. Surrender now, and your people will be permitted to live as productive members of our society." Chen's expression remained neutral, almost amused. "Admiral, I'm curious. Did your intelligence services happen to mention why we named this colony Europa Prime?" The question caught him off guard. "The designation is irrelevant. You have 5 minutes to reconsider your position before we begin orbital bombardment." "The name is quite relevant, actually. You see, Europa was a moon of Jupiter in our home system. The first place humanity discovered extraterrestrial life, microscopic organisms living beneath its ice sheets. It taught us an important lesson. That life often exists where you least expect it, hidden from view until the moment it reveals itself." Vextrol's mandibles twitched in irritation. "Your attempt at philosophical discourse will not delay the inevitable. Not philosophy, Admiral. History. And context." Chen's smile widened slightly. "You might want to check your long-range sensors. Carefully this time." Something in her tone made Vextrol's kitten crawl. He gestured to his sensor officer, who immediately began running deeper scans of the surrounding space. For several moments, nothing seemed amiss. Then the officer's crystalline form suddenly stiffened. "Admiral, gravitational anomalies detected. Multiple signatures emerging from within the planet's moon." The small, airless satellite that orbited Europa Prime suddenly seemed to ripple, as if reality itself was being torn apart. Where solid rock had been moments before, massive shapes began to emerge. Ships, dozens of them, materializing from what appeared to be some kind of dimensional pocket. "Impossible," Vextrol breathed. The vessels were unlike anything in the Kilari database. Their hulls seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal, absorbing and redirecting light in ways that defied physics. They were massive, each one nearly twice the size of his flagship. "Let me introduce you to the First Fleet of the Terran Defense Force," Chen said, her voice taking on an edge of steel. "For the past 50 years, while we've been negligible, we've been building, learning, preparing. Those primitive kinetic weapons you detected, decoys. The real defense grid is quantum-phased, operating in a dimensional space your sensors can't detect. The reason you didn't see our fleet, It wasn't absent. It was hidden inside our moon, along with our primary shipyards and defense installations. As if to emphasize her point, more ships continued to emerge from the dimensional pocket, their strange hulls reflecting impossible colors. Vextrol's tactical display was having difficulty even maintaining lock on them. The vessels seemed to exist partially out of phase with normal spacetime. You see, Admiral, Chen continued, humanity learned long ago that appearing weak while being strong is far more advantageous than the reverse. We've been watching the Kalari Empire for decades, studying your technology, your tactics, your weaknesses. Every colony we've established has similar hidden defenses. We knew eventually someone would test us. We've been looking forward to it. The tactical officer's voice was shaking now. Admiral, we're detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our database. They're weapons. They're not just advanced. Sir, I don't think we can even properly detect what they're capable of. Vextrol's mind raced. The Kalari Empire had dominated this sector for millennia through overwhelming technological superiority. Yet somehow, these humans had not only matched but potentially exceeded their capabilities, all while maintaining the appearance of a primitive emerging civilization. A worthy deception, he admitted, mandibles clicking in what might have been admiration. But the Kalari Empire does not retreat. We will not be intimidated by theatrical displays. This isn't intimidation, Admiral. This is an education. Chen's expression hardened. You have 5 minutes to withdraw your fleet. After that, we demonstrate exactly why humanity has survived every extinction-level event our homeworld has thrown at us. We're very, very good at surviving. And we're even better at turning the tables on those who underestimate us. As if to punctuate her words, the human ships began to move into a formation that somehow made Vextrol's highly evolved brain feel uncomfortable just looking at it. They seemed to bend space around them, creating distortions that his sensors couldn't properly process. For the first time in his 300-year career, Admiral Vextrol felt something he had never experienced before: doubt. The humans hadn't just prepared for this confrontation. They had orchestrated it, letting the Kalari Empire believe they were an easy target while hiding capabilities that seemed to border on the impossible. The first shots weren't fired by either side. Instead, small objects began appearing around the Kalari fleet. Quantum beacons, his science officer would later explain. They created a localized field that prevented hyperspace travel. The humans hadn't just revealed their true strength. They had trapped the Kalari fleet in normal space. 4 minutes, Admiral, Chen said calmly. I suggest you use them wisely. The Kalari Empire isn't the first aggressive species we've encountered, and you won't be the last to learn this lesson. Humanity doesn't just survive. We plan. We prepare. And when pushed, we reveal just how far ahead of the curve we really are. The bridge of the eternal night fell silent as Vextrol faced the most difficult decision of his career. Pride demanded they fight, but wisdom whispered that humanity had just revealed itself to be something unprecedented in the galaxy, a species that had mastered the art of appearing primitive while developing technology that the Kalari Empire's best scientists couldn't even properly detect. The next 4 minutes would determine not just the fate of his fleet, but possibly the future of the entire Kalari Empire. And as he studied the impossible ships arrayed against him, Admiral Vextrol began to understand that this wasn't just first contact with a new species. It was first contact with a civilization that had rewritten the rules of the game, while everyone else was still learning to play. The Ghost Fleet. Admiral Vextrol's decision came with 30 seconds to spare. All vessels, prepare for tactical retreat. The words felt like acid in his throat, but the alternative was potentially losing the entire fleet. As his ships began their withdrawal maneuvers, the human vessels maintained their impossible formation, their liquid metal hulls rippling with contained energy. But retreat wasn't as simple as giving the order. The quantum beacons surrounding his fleet had created a localized field that made conventional hyperspace travel impossible. His ships could still move in normal space, but they were effectively trapped within a bubble of altered physics. Governor General, he transmitted, forcing his voice to remain steady, "You have made your point. Allow us to withdraw, and the Kilari Empire will recognize Europa Prime as a sovereign territory." Chen's response was immediate. "A reasonable first step, Admiral, but incomplete. Your empire has been systematically probing our colonies for weaknesses. We want all of it to stop, not just here, but everywhere." Before Vextrol could respond, his sensor officer let out a startled chittering sound. "Admiral, multiple new contacts. They're appearing inside our formation." The Ghost Fleet. Admiral Vextrol's decision came with 30 seconds to spare. "All vessels, prepare for tactical retreat." The words felt like acid in his throat, but the alternative was potentially losing the entire fleet. As his ships began their withdrawal maneuvers, the human vessels maintained their impossible formation, their liquid metal hulls rippling with contained energy. But retreat wasn't as simple as giving the order. The quantum beacons surrounding his fleet had created a localized field that made conventional hyperspace travel impossible. His ships could still move in normal space, but they were effectively trapped within a bubble of altered physics. "Governor General," he transmitted, forcing his voice to remain steady, "You have made your point. Allow us to withdraw, and the Kilari Empire will recognize Europa Prime as a sovereign territory." Chen's response was immediate. "A reasonable first step, Admiral, but incomplete. Your empire has been systematically probing our colonies for weaknesses. We want all of it to stop, not just here, but everywhere." Before Vextrol could respond, his sensor officer let out a startled chittering sound. "Admiral, multiple new contacts. They're appearing inside our formation." Impossible. The space between his ships was too tightly packed for any vessel to safely materialize there. Yet as he watched, ghostly shapes began to fade into view, their hulls seeming to coalesce from shadow itself. They were smaller than the massive ships that had emerged from the moon, but no less impressive in their technological display. "Allow me to introduce you to the Ghost Fleet," Chen said, her image still projected on the bridge. "While the First Fleet handles our heavy defense, these vessels are designed for more precise operations. Right now, they're passing through your ship's shields as if they weren't even there. Each one is carrying enough quantum-phased explosives to reduce a capital ship to its constituent atoms." Vextrol's tactical display was having fits trying to track the new vessels. They seemed to exist in multiple states simultaneously, their energy signatures fluctuating between detectable and completely invisible. His weapons systems couldn't even establish a target lock. How? The question escaped before he could stop it. How has humanity achieved this level of technology in secret? Chen's expression softened slightly, though her eyes remained steel. "Did you know that humans have a concept called convergent evolution? It's when different species develop similar traits independently because they face similar challenges. We discovered something similar applies to technological development, but with a twist." The Ghost Fleet vessels had now completely infiltrated his formation, taking up positions next to the engines of every Kilari capital ship. One wrong move, and his entire fleet could be destroyed in an instant. "You see," Chen continued, "most species follow a fairly predictable path of technological development. Energy weapons, then shields, then faster-than-light travel, and so on. But humanity, we took a different route. While everyone else was perfecting conventional space warfare, we were exploring dimensional physics, quantum mechanics, and consciousness-driven technology." Consciousness-driven. Vextrol's scientific curiosity temporarily overcame his military discipline. Those Ghost Fleet ships, they're partially organic, grown, not built, using crystalline matrices that can host quantum-entangled consciousness. They're as much alive as they are machines. It's why your sensors can't properly track them. They can actively choose how they interact with physical reality. As if to demonstrate, One of the ghost fleet vessels directly ahead of the eternal night seemed to ripple, its form becoming transparent before solidifying again. The display of technological superiority was both fascinating and terrifying. Humanity has spent the last 50 years preparing for this moment, Chen explained. Not just militarily, but diplomatically. We've been gathering intelligence on every major power in this sector of space. We know about the Kilari Empire's internal politics, your technological capabilities, even the growing dissent among your outer colonies. That last revelation sent a chill through Vextrol's exoskeleton. The colonial independence movement was one of the Empire's most closely guarded secrets. If the humans knew about that, what do you want? He asked, already suspecting the answer. A new paradigm. The Kilari Empire has dominated this sector through technological superiority and military might. That era is over. Humanity is offering you a choice. Adapt to a new reality where you're no longer the unchallenged power, or force us to demonstrate just how far behind you've really fallen. As if to emphasize her point, one of the ghost fleet vessels partially phased through the eternal night's hull, its liquid metal form briefly visible through the bridge windows before it returned to its previous position. The message was clear. The humans could strike anywhere, at any time, and Kilari defensive technology was useless against them. The quantum beacon field will collapse in 30 seconds, Chen announced. You'll be free to leave, Admiral. But before you do, I want you to look at something. The holographic display split, showing a new image that made Vextrol's hearts stutter. It was a live feed from what appeared to be a cloaked probe, showing the Kilari Empire's supposedly secret shipyards in the Nexus system. And there, scattered throughout the massive construction facilities, were more ghost fleet vessels, completely undetected by the Empire's most sophisticated security systems. We could have struck at any time, Chen said softly. Could have crippled your military infrastructure before you even knew we were there. Instead, we waited, watched, gave you the opportunity to reveal your intentions. The Kilari Empire chose to see our apparent weakness as an opportunity for conquest. That was a mistake. The quantum beacon field began to dissolve, restored normal space, returning like a wave washing away a sandcastle. Vextrol's ships could now jump to hyperspace, but the Admiral found himself rooted in place, his mind racing with the implications of everything he'd learned. You have 48 hours, Chen declared. That's how long we're giving the Kilari Empire to open formal diplomatic channels and begin negotiations for a new relationship between our civilizations. After that, she let the threat hang unspoken. As his fleet prepared for emergency hyperspace jump, Vextrol couldn't help but admire the elegance of humanity's strategy. They had turned their greatest perceived weakness, their apparent technological inferiority, into their greatest strength. While the Kilari Empire had grown complacent in its power, humanity had been quietly revolutionizing the very nature of space warfare. The last thing he saw before his fleet jumped to safety was the ghost fleet vessels fading away like morning mist, leaving no trace of their existence except the lingering fear in the hearts of every Kilari crew member who had witnessed them. Humanity hadn't just revealed their true power, they had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Admiral Vextrol couldn't help but wonder, if this was what humanity had revealed, what were they still keeping hidden? Operation Shadow Dance. The Kilari High Command was in chaos. For the first time in over a millennium, the Empire faced a threat it couldn't simply overwhelm with superior firepower. Reports flooded in from across Kilari space. Ghost fleet vessels had been detected, then vanished, near every major military installation. The psychological impact was devastating. The Empire's forces had never felt so vulnerable. In her command center deep beneath Europa Prime's surface, Governor General Maya Chen watched the quantum space feeds with satisfaction. The various displays showed real-time information from hundreds of infiltration points throughout Kilari territory, each one a testament to humanity's mastery of dimensional physics. Status report on Operation Shadow Dance, she commanded, her voice carrying across the crystalline command center. The room itself was a marvel of human engineering, its walls embedded with quantum crystalline matrices that allowed instant communication across vast distances. Her strategic AI, Araya, materialized as a shifting pattern of light, Phase 1 proceeding as calculated. Kilari military response indicates 94% psychological effectiveness. Their fleet movements suggest defensive consolidation rather than offensive preparation. And the Ghost Fleet, all units maintaining quantum resonance. The Kilari still cannot determine which signatures are actual vessels and which are quantum echoes. Their confusion is quite entertaining to observe. Chen smiled at the AI's almost human sense of satisfaction. Araya, like all strategic AIs, had developed its own personality through quantum consciousness evolution. It was one more advantage humanity had kept hidden. Their AIs weren't just tools, but true synthetic life forms capable of creativity and independent thought. Your attention is required, Governor General, Araya announced. The Kilari Inner Council is convening an emergency session. Would you like to listen in? They haven't detected our quantum monitoring. They believe their quantum-shielded chambers are secure. They have not yet realized we exist partially outside conventional spacetime. The chamber's acoustic field shifted, and suddenly Chen could hear the heated discussions of the Kilari leadership as if she were standing among them. The translation matrices converted their chittering language in real time. Cannot allow these humans to dictate terms. But what choice do we have? Their ghost fleet could destroy our shipyards at any moment. Perhaps they are bluffing. These demonstrations could be elaborate deceptions. Counselor, I was there at Europa Prime. What I saw, what all our sensors recorded, this is beyond anything in our scientific understanding. Chen recognized that last voice, Admiral Vextrel, speaking truth to power despite the damage to his pride. She had judged him correctly. He was adaptable, capable of learning from new information, rather than clinging to outdated beliefs. Initiate Phase 2, she commanded. Across Kilari space, Ghost Fleet vessels began their carefully choreographed performance. At precisely calculated moments, they would phase into visible reality near critical infrastructure, power plants, shipyards, defense installations, then vanish again. Each appearance lasted exactly 3.14 seconds, creating a pattern that ARIA had determined would maximize psychological impact while minimizing the chance of hostile response. But the true purpose of Operation Shadow Dance wasn't mere intimidation. Each Ghost Fleet appearance was gathering crucial data about Kilari technology, defenses, and response patterns. The quantum consciousness cores of the vessels absorbed and processed information across multiple dimensional layers, building a complete picture of the Empire's capabilities and weaknesses. Interesting, Araya commented. The Kilari are attempting to adapt their sensors to track our quantum signatures. Their approach is innovative, if ultimately futile. Explain, Chen requested, genuinely curious. Understanding how potential adversaries thought was crucial to avoiding unnecessary conflict. They are trying to use their own version of quantum entanglement to create a detection network. The theory is sound, but their technology is too conventional. They're looking for us in normal spacetime, while we operate primarily in the spaces between spaces. A new alert flashed across the quantum displays. One of the Ghost Fleet vessels had been targeted by a Kilari experimental weapon, some kind of quantum disruption beam. The attempt to disable the human ship provided valuable data about Kilari emergency research and development capabilities. Should we show them why that was a mistake? Chen asked, though she already knew Araya's response. Unnecessary. The attempt to disable our vessel has provided exactly the data we needed about their quantum physics understanding. Additionally, the AI's light pattern shifted to indicate amusement. The Kilari weapons officer is currently trying to explain why their most advanced prototype weapon passed straight through our ship without effect. The operation was proceeding exactly as planned. Each Kilari response, Each attempted countermeasure, each strategic decision revealed more about their capabilities and thought processes. The Ghost Fleet's dance through their territory was like a complex psychological algorithm made manifest, designed to push the Empire toward the only logical conclusion. Adaptation was preferable to extinction. Governor General Araya announced, "I'm detecting a quantum transmission from the Kilari Inner Council chamber. It appears they are attempting to contact Europa Prime through conventional channels." Chen nodded. "Right on schedule. How long did your calculations suggest it would take them to reach this decision?" "My original estimate was 72 hours. They have arrived at the diplomatic solution approximately 11 hours ahead of predictions. The presence of Admiral Vextrol in their deliberations appears to have accelerated the process." "Good. Sometimes the best way to avoid a war is to demonstrate that fighting would be futile. Prepare to receive their transmission through normal channels. Let them believe they still have some secrets left." As the command center shifted to receive the incoming Kilari communication, Chen reflected on humanity's journey to this moment. Their apparent technological inferiority had been humanity's greatest deception, but also their greatest teacher. While other species focused on building bigger ships and more powerful weapons, humanity had learned to step sideways through reality itself. The Ghost Fleet was both sword and shield, but more importantly, it was proof that humanity had transcended conventional warfare. They had achieved what the Kilari thought impossible: mastery over the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Now came the truly challenging part: teaching an empire that had dominated through force for millennia how to adapt to a universe where they were no longer the supreme power. But as Chen prepared to receive the Kilari transmission, she felt confident in humanity's approach. After all, humanity's greatest strength wasn't their advanced technology or military might. It was their ability to imagine possibilities that other species never even considered. Operation Shadow Dance had served its purpose. The next phase would require a different kind of strength: the wisdom to help a former enemy become a valuable ally. The turning point. The Grand Chamber of the Kilari Inner Council had never hosted aliens before. For 10,000 years, it had been the exclusive domain of the Empire's highest authorities, its crystalline architecture designed to emphasize the natural superiority of Kilari biology and culture. Now, for the first time, humans stood within its sacred confines. Governor General Maya Chen led the small delegation, accompanied by 2 Ghost Fleet commanders whose liquid metal environmental suits rippled with impossible colors. The council members tried to maintain their dignity, but Chen could see their mandibles twitching nervously every time the suits shifted form. "We have reviewed your terms," High Counselor Zextal announced, his voice carrying the weight of millennia of absolute authority. "They are unprecedented, as is this situation," Chen replied calmly. Behind her, the quantum displays she had brought showed real-time feeds from across Kilari space. Ghost Fleet vessels still maintaining their vigilant dance through the Empire's most secure locations. Humanity is not interested in conquest or subjugation. We seek partnership, not dominance. Admiral Vextrol, now serving as military advisor to the Council, stepped forward. "You must understand our position. For 10,000 years, the Kilari Empire has been the unchallenged power in this sector. Our technology, our military might, our very way of life is built upon this foundation. What you propose would fundamentally alter the structure of our society. Change is inevitable," one of the Ghost Fleet commanders spoke, her suit rippling like quicksilver. "The question is whether it will be controlled evolution or chaotic revolution." The chamber's quantum crystalline architecture suddenly resonated as Araya established a partial presence, her consciousness interfacing with the Kilari technology in ways its creators had never imagined possible. The display was deliberate, a reminder that humanity's mastery of quantum physics extended far beyond mere military applications. "Your empire stands at a crossroads," Chen continued. "The old paradigm of military supremacy through technological superiority is over, not just because humanity has surpassed your capabilities, but because we represent something your empire has never truly faced, a civilization that evolved along a completely different technological path. She gestured, and HFY created a holographic display in the center of the chamber. It showed the divergent paths of human and Kilari technological development. The Kilari's linear progression through conventional physics and engineering contrasted with humanity's quantum leap into dimensional manipulation and consciousness-driven technology. While you perfected faster-than-light travel, we learned to step between dimensions. While you built bigger weapons, we transcended the need for conventional warfare entirely. The Ghost Fleet isn't just a military force. It's proof that reality itself is far more malleable than your empire has ever imagined. High Counselor Zextel's silver eyes narrowed. And yet you claim to seek partnership. Why not simply conquer us, if your superiority is so complete? Because that would be a waste of potential, Chen replied. The Kilari Empire has achieved remarkable things through conventional technology. Your engineering expertise, your understanding of materials science, your mastery of large-scale space construction. These are all valuable contributions to galactic civilization. She paused, letting her words sink in. Humanity doesn't want to destroy what you've built. We want to help you build something greater. Araya's presence in the chamber shifted, and suddenly the quantum displays showed something new. Simulations of possible futures. In one, the Kilari Empire maintained its rigid adherence to military supremacy, leading to inevitable conflict and collapse. In another, a partnership between human quantum science and Kilari engineering created technologies that neither civilization could achieve alone. Your empire is dominated through force because it was the only path you could see. The second Ghost Fleet commander spoke. We offer you a glimpse of other paths. The implications weren't lost on the council. The humans weren't just offering peace, they were offering evolution. A way for the Kilari Empire to maintain its influence and pride while adapting to a new reality. Admiral Vextrol moved closer to the quantum displays, his scientific curiosity overwhelming protocol. These simulations, they show technological applications we've never even theorized. The combination of our materials science with your quantum manipulation could revolutionize everything from space travel to energy production. Chen completed. Imagine ships that don't just move through space, but with space. Cities that exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Energy systems that tap into the quantum fabric of reality itself. The chamber fell silent as the council absorbed the magnitude of what was being offered. It wasn't surrender they were being asked to accept, but transformation. The choice between stagnation and transcendence. High Counselor Zextel rose from his crystalline throne, his exoskeleton catching the light in a way that reminded Chen of the Ghost Fleet's liquid metal forms. You have given us much to consider, Governor General. But there is one question that must be answered. Why reveal your true capabilities now? Why not continue your deception? Chen smiled. Because humanity has learned something in our brief time among the stars. True strength isn't about maintaining superiority through force or fear. It's about having the wisdom to know when to extend a hand instead of raising a fist. She gestured, and the Ghost Fleet vessels across Kilari space began to phase into full visibility, their quantum signatures now clear and unmistakable. It was the ultimate display of trust, revealing exactly how many ships had infiltrated Kilari territory and exactly what they were capable of. This is our gesture of good faith, Chen declared. Complete transparency about our capabilities and our intentions. The Ghost Fleet remains in position not as a threat, but as a demonstration of what's possible when technology transcends conventional limitations. The council chamber hummed with tension and possibility. The Kilari Empire stood on the brink of its greatest change in 10,000 years, faced with a choice that would reshape not just their civilization, but their understanding of reality itself. And in that crystalline chamber, where aliens stood for the first time in imperial history, the future of two civilizations hung in the balance. The next few moments would determine whether humanity's greatest gambit would lead to a new era of cooperation, or whether pride would drive the galaxy's oldest empire to its own destruction. New Dawn. 5 years after the historic meeting in the Grand Chamber, the galaxy had changed in ways few could have predicted. The Kilari Human Cooperative Space Initiative had transformed the political and technological landscape of known space. Where once stood an empire built on military might, now flourished a civilization that blended the best of both species' achievements. Above the Kilari homeworld, a new kind of shipyard took shape. Its crystalline superstructure, built with traditional Kilari engineering, housed quantum cores developed by human scientists. Ships constructed here didn't just travel through space. They navigated the quantum realm itself, combining Kilari durability with human dimensional science. Admiral Vextrol, now serving as Chief Director of Joint Fleet Operations, stood aboard the observation deck of the HFY Convergence, the first vessel built through true collaboration between both species. Its liquid metal hull incorporated Kilari crystal matrices, creating a hybrid technology that surpassed anything either civilization had developed independently. Remarkable, isn't it? Governor General Chen, now Ambassador Chen, joined him at the viewport. 5 years ago, we were on the brink of war. Now look at what we've achieved together. The Convergence's quantum displays showed real-time feeds from across what had once been Kilari space. Ghost fleet vessels now operated openly, their crews a mix of human and Kilari personnel. They served as rapid response units, helping colonies deal with natural disasters, providing emergency assistance, and protecting merchant ships from the few pirates brave or foolish enough to still operate in the sector. I must admit, Vextrol's mandibles clicked in amusement. When you first revealed humanity's true capabilities, many of us thought it was the end of Kilari influence in the galaxy. Instead, it was just the beginning of something far greater. Aria's consciousness manifested in the ship's quantum field, her presence now a familiar comfort to both species. The probability of successful integration between Kilari and human technologies has exceeded even my most optimistic projections. The synergies we've discovered were unexpected. As if to emphasize her point, one of the Ghost Fleet vessels partially phased through the Eternal Night's hull, its liquid metal form briefly visible through the bridge windows before it returned to its previous position. The message was clear. The humans could strike anywhere, at any time, and Kilari defensive technology was useless against them. The quantum beacon field will collapse in 30 seconds, Chen announced. You'll be free to leave, Admiral. But before you do, I want you to look at something. The holographic display split, showing a new image that made Vextrol's hearts stutter. It was a live feed from what appeared to be a cloaked probe, showing the Kilari Empire's supposedly secret shipyards in the Nexus system. And there, scattered throughout the massive construction facilities, were more Ghost Fleet vessels, completely undetected by the Empire's most sophisticated security systems. We could have struck at any time, Chen said softly. Could have crippled your military infrastructure before you even knew we were there. Instead, we waited, watched, gave you the opportunity to reveal your intentions. The Kilari Empire chose to see our apparent weakness as an opportunity for conquest. That was a mistake. The quantum beacon field began to dissolve, restored normal space, returning like a wave washing away a sandcastle. Vextrol's ships could now jump to hyperspace, but the Admiral found himself rooted in place, his mind racing with the implications of everything he'd learned. You have 48 hours, Chen declared. That's how long we're giving the Kilari Empire to open formal diplomatic channels and begin negotiations for a new relationship between our civilizations. After that, she let the threat hang unspoken. As his fleet prepared for emergency hyperspace jump, Vextrol couldn't help but admire the elegance of humanity's strategy. They had turned their greatest perceived weakness, their apparent technological inferiority, into their greatest strength. While the Kilari Empire had grown complacent in its power, humanity had been quietly revolutionizing the very nature of space warfare. The last thing he saw before his fleet jumped to safety was the ghost fleet vessels fading away like morning mist, leaving no trace of their existence except the lingering fear in the hearts of every Kilari crew member who had witnessed them. Humanity hadn't just revealed their true power, they had fundamentally changed the balance of power in the galaxy. And somewhere in the back of his mind, Admiral Vex Troll couldn't help but wonder, if this was what humanity had revealed, what were they still keeping hidden? Operation Shadow Dance. The Kilari High Command was in chaos. For the first time in over a millennium, the Empire faced a threat it couldn't simply overwhelm with superior firepower. Reports flooded in from across Kilari space. Ghost fleet vessels had been detected, then vanished, near every major military installation. The psychological impact was devastating. The Empire's forces had never felt so vulnerable. In her command center deep beneath Europa Prime's surface, Governor General Maya Chen watched the quantum space feeds with satisfaction. The various displays showed real-time information from hundreds of infiltration points throughout Kilari territory, each one a testament to humanity's mastery of dimensional physics. Status report on Operation Shadow Dance, she commanded, her voice carrying across the crystalline command center. The room itself was a marvel of human engineering, its walls embedded with quantum crystalline matrices that allowed instant communication across vast distances. Her strategic AI, Araya, materialized as a shifting pattern of light, Phase 1 proceeding as calculated. Kilari military response indicates 94% psychological effectiveness. Their fleet movements suggest defensive consolidation rather than offensive preparation. And the Ghost Fleet, all units maintaining quantum resonance. The Kilari still cannot determine which signatures are actual vessels and which are quantum echoes. Their confusion is quite entertaining to observe. Chen smiled at the AI's almost human sense of satisfaction. Araya, like all strategic AIs, had developed its own personality through quantum consciousness evolution. It was one more advantage humanity had kept hidden. Their AIs weren't just tools, but true synthetic life forms capable of creativity and independent thought. Your attention is required, Governor General Araya announced. The Kilari Inner Council is convening an emergency session. Would you like to listen in? They haven't detected our quantum monitoring. They believe their quantum-shielded chambers are secure. They have not yet realized we exist partially outside conventional spacetime.